So Teddy, what ancient civilization did you study?
I studied the Mayans.
Where did the Mayans live?
They live in what is now modern-day Guatemala.
What were they like?
They are very religious people, and this is a temple. This is what one of their temples may have looked like. They like to worship the corn or maize god.
What were some of their major achievements?
They created the math term zero about the same time as India. They had a lot of our calendars are based off of their simple model of what they made.
How did their civilization end or change over time?
They started to become weaker after larger, stronger civilizations like the Spaniards came in with guns. And then in like 564 AD, the Spanish conquistadors came in and wiped them all out. Wiped the last of them out.
Did they trade or barter? If so, what?
They did trade and barter. They traded with the people around them in Central America. They traded obsidian, gold, and salt mainly.
What was used as currency?
They didn't really have a currency. It was just they just traded, kind of.
What did they need/want?
So they wanted obsidian gold, but they needed salt, so they traded their obsidian or gold.
Thanks, Ted. I learned a lot about Mayan. So, Mark, what ancient civilization did you study?
The Pueblos.
Where did they live?
They lived in the southwest part, which is now known as Colorado, Utah, or Arizona.
The southwest part of the United States, right?
Yeah.
What were they like?
They were very religious people.
Did they have any major achievements?
Well, they built these cliff dwellings, which help protect from the cold or the heat.
How did their civilization end or even change over time?
Well, their civilization ended due to catastrophic events, and Spaniards came and forced them out. I gotta go, guys. I'll see you later.
Oh, it's another one of our Pueblo intelligent people. So, Ryan, how did the Spanish conquistadors affect the Pueblos?
No, they did not.
Did the Pueblos have any major achievements or contributions that contributed to later cultures?
Yes, they had architectural advancements, which were these archaeologists still find amazing today.
Did they trade or barter? If so, what?
Yes, they did trade or barter. They traded corn, gemstones, squash, many feathers, and and they traded with more of the Southwesters.
What was used as currency?
Gold or gold dust.
What were their needs or wants?
Their needs or wants were like cotton, maybe. I mean, they had lots.
Like what?
Lots of cotton, corn, gemstones. Yeah.
Did they want anything?
Yes. They just wanted stuff they traded.
Okay, thank you, Ryan and Mark.
Yes.
So, Jack, what ancient civilization did you study?
I studied the Incans.
Where did the Incans live?
They lived in the Andes Mountains.
Where are the Andes Mountains?
The Andes Mountains are along in South America and like near Ecuador and Argentina.
What are some major achievements they had?
Some major achievements that they had were that they found a new way to build walls so that they would not collapse under like earthquakes or something. And what they would do is they'd drill a hole in a rock and then fill it with water and cap it off so that it would split the rock at freezing temperatures and make it so that when the walls fit together, they'd be like puzzle pieces that would not break away.
What were they like?
They were very intelligent people that made lots of great inventions that we still use today.
What are some of the inventions that we still use today?
Well, they invented terraces. So those are used as like if you're living high in the hills. They're kind of like cut into the ground so you can farm on land that's not flat or straight.
Are there terraces and buildings still up today?
Yes, there are.
Did the Spanish conquistadors impact your civilization in any way?
Yes, they did, and they were one of the factors that drove them out, and so that's one of the reasons that the Incas aren't here today.
Did they trade barter?
They would a little, but not as much, because there weren't very many civilizations around them.
What was used as currency when they traded?
They would use cocoa beans as currency for trading certain things and buying.
What were their wants or needs?
Some of their wants and needs were kind of just like other foods and like important things. They would need food like squash and corn and other things like that to survive, so they would want to trade for that.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
Yep.
Hi, Dylan.
Hey,
What ancient civilization did you study?
the Aztecs
Where did the Aztecs live?
in central Mexico and now in modern day Mexico.
What were they like?
They were a very warlike people.
What were some major achievements they had?
They built temples, they made jewelry, and they also made floating gardens, they had the gardens on the water, and then they'd take trees and they'd put them on the garden, and the roots would go down into the water and lock the garden into the ground.
How did your civilization end or even change over time?
Well, it ended when the Spanish conquistadors took over and overthrew the Aztecs with their weapons. They were thrown out in 1521 AD, bringing end to Mesoamerica's last great city.
Civilization trade or barter?
Yes, they traded squash, peppers, beans, and most of all, they traded cocoa beans.
What was used as their currency?
They didn't have a currency, they mostly traded with other cultures around them.
What were their needs or wants, if they had any?
They needed salt, and sometimes they would trade for gold if they needed to use that to get something different.
Thanks, Dylan.
Hi, Cole. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Now, what's your ancient civilization?
I studied the mound builders.
That's great. Where did they live?
They lived in the eastern woodlands.
What were their characteristics, and what were they like?
They were very religious and ceremonial.
What were some of their major achievements?
Some of their major achievements was all their handmade mounds, which they made like this flat top pyramid here, and how they could build entire civilizations and temples on top of them.
How did their civilization end or change over time?
Their civilization lasted 5,000 years, and it ended probably because of climate change, either knocking their temples down because it was all made of like mostly dirt and stuff.
Did they trade or barter at all?
They did trade or barter, but they mostly just like bartered stuff that like this is a fair deal for this.
What did they barter with?
They bartered stuff like pottery, art, and jewelry.
And what did they trade for?
What did they trade for? Oh, what did they want or need?
Yeah.
Oh, they had already stuff like wood, copper, and all that stuff. But what they really wanted was just like jewelry and art to make their temples and civilization just greater overall.
What was used as their currency?
They didn't have a currency because they bartered.
Did the Spanish conquistadors at all affect your ancient civilization?
No, since the mound builders were kind of far up in America, the conquistadors did not affect their civilization.
And did they have any major achievements that we now use today?
Actually, a lot of their mounds, like we use for religious purposes, are still here today, and they have a bunch of stuff in them, such as bodies, art, pottery, and jewelry.